Hello, my name is Johanna Bräu. I am the coordinator of education for new immigrants in Regensburg. And I'm glad to be part of the CiSoTRA conference in March 2021. At first, I want to show you some facts about my position. The project Municipal Education Coordination for New Immigrants was financed by the Ministry of Education and Research Germany from 2016 till the end of 2020. And in the supporting program, about 300 cities and districts in Germany take part in it. 75 of them were located in Bavaria. But only a few of them were transferred in a permanent structure after the supporting program ended. Regensburg is one of the cities which established a permanent structure in the end of 2020. So there are two parts. One of the part is the Information Center for Schooling of Immigrants, Asylum Seekers and Refugees, which is built and which was founded in 2015. And the main tasks here are the educational screening, the organization of literacy courses, and case management after the young people absolved their literacy courses. They were allocated to the vocational schools. On the other hand, there is the educational coordination for immigrants. My main tasks are networking, fundraising, and monitoring. And in cooperation, me and my colleagues are constantly develop new concepts in consideration with relevant stakeholders in Regensburg. So on the next chart, I show you on the one hand the problems and stumbling blocks, on the other hand the support structures, and you see it with a red mark with and the gaps in the supporting system. In the following, I don't address on every point and focus on a few of them. I hope it's okay for you. So in the baseline, you see I call it exit factors because they block the integration in the educational system. For example, when there is no compulsory to schooling, because the young migrants have to wait for the deportation in their homelands or in other European countries because of Dublin regulatories. Here are some voluntary projects from Campus Asyl, and the young migrants or refugees have the opportunity to learn basically German. Another exit factor is no access to preparatory pre-training, or they getting no work permit and have no title of residence. In all cases, there's most of the support structure is voluntary system, but in the case of work permit, you need a work permit for vocational training. And when the identity of the young refugees is still not clarified, they can't get a permit from the immigration office, and so they have no chance for an employment. In those cases, the young migration services of the churches will support the young people in the process and communicate with the departments. In the second level, you can see the individual problems like educational prerequisites and language barriers, psychological problems, individual connectivity, crisis of identity, for example, is appearing when young refugees realize that they have no chance to fulfill the expectations of the family at home and the expectations of the German society. Another problems are legal recognition of refugee status. It's in some cases a long process, and they have to wait for a long time. The housing problems, especially in a rich city like Regensburg, the real estate market is very rough, and migrants haven't good chances to get their own apartments. Especially young refugees and migrants, and in the camps they often share the room with 3, 4 or 5 people without access to internet, and so you can imagine this is the surroundings are not very constructive. Then there's often only a little knowledge of the systems and the institutions in Regensburg, and of course, many have financial problems. So, how can we improve the educational prerequisites and the language barriers? The first step is to visit an literacy course in the information center of schooling. The second step is the allocation to the vocational integration classes. In most cases, they visit it for about 2 years. In some cases, 3 years. For elder youngsters, there are youth integration courses. Another supporting system is the project Consumer Education, which is a peer-to-peer project, and young migrants learn something about our educational system, or what is an insurance, or how to get into work or something else. On the societal area, we have problems because of discrimination or lack of awareness or lack of lobbying work. So the city of Regensburg have a municipal council of foreigners, which is elected all 2 years, and many cultural projects to improve the awareness. So you can see we have some lacks and gaps in the area of psychological problems and individual connectivity. The crisis of identity must be solved. We have problems in the area of housings, and in case of the vocational integration classes, there must be an improvement in the concept. So here are some ideas and developments, more or less wishes for an efficient, more efficient process of immigration. In the area of exit factors, I think it's more a wish than an development. Language courses from day one, independent from any kind of resident status, and opening of measures independent from the status of residence and especially age, concerning to the obligatory school attendance. In the field of individual blocks, they have to be an easier access to orientated career counseling, and a flexibilization of models of vocational training. For example, part-time apprenticeships. We were piloting it last year, but Corona wasn't a very constructive factor. And one of the important developments is improvement of the concept of integration classes. For example, many of the youngsters absolve the integration classes, and the language level and the level of knowledge isn't unsatisfactory for vocational training. Our schools, our teachers, and the social workers support the young people by a very high level, but the concept of the main concept of the schooling have to be improved by the Ministry of Education in Bavaria. One solution can be the reintroduction of the vocational transition year. It's a gap year between the vocational integration year and the apprenticeship. Yes. And on the societal stumbling blocks, we can overcome them if we constantly demonstrate the strengths and success cases. For example, best practice projects like photo voice and writing workshops. It's important to create platforms and especially strengthening the self-organizations and lobbying for refugees and migrants. So last but not least, an adaptation of the overall systems. The previously described problems can be overcome by an adaptation of the overall system of transition and integration. In my opinion, the CiSoTRA model and metrics of stabilization and orientation is a very valuable input and reference point for such adaptation. The legal framework is hard to change, especially by the municipal level, but transparency of decision-making and a professional guidance goes along the way. A coordinated transition management along the CiSoTRA model is of practical benefit for the youth, but can also inspire the professional discussion about the system adaptation. So these are my points. Thank you for listening. I wish you all the best. Send best regards